All right, guys. So, my daughter is right at that age. She just got her driver's license. I know she's growing up, and it's time for her very first car. So, I bought her a car. No, not this turd. I wouldn't buy my daughter a Ford. That's right. It kind of looks like my car, but it's not my car. I would consider it a better car. 2015 Honda Fit. It's not perfect. It is a used car. It has little things and dents on it, scratches. And as far as rust, this is the worst spot right there. Classic Honda stuff. But that's about it. It looks like the front end might have been in a little fender bender. You could see how the front bumper doesn't line up 100% right there. But that's about the extent of the damage. Overall, the car is pretty good, guys. Like I said, 118,000 miles. No check engine light. It's ready to pass emissions, and I checked it over myself. Codes have not been cleared, so yes, it is ready to pass emissions. And again, no check engine light, and everything seems to work on the inside. There's like little things here and there I have to deal with. Interior looks very clean. Looks really nice inside of here. Go ahead and start her up. Now, the previous owner said that it did recently have a timing chain put on it. And the reason for that is, I know you're thinking 118,000 miles, isn't that kind of soon? Yes, it is, but they said there was a like a rattle when you first turn on the engine. So it wasn't preventing the car from running or anything. It was just a rattle. And they wanted to get it addressed. So it did get like a new tensioner and timing chain. And they said it fixed it. And I can confirm it sounds nice while running. Super quiet, just runs perfectly. There is an issue with TPMS sensors. You can see TPMS light is on. I'm not really concerned about that, guys. Everything else works perfectly. All the controls, the AC works. It has a backup camera. There is one thing I did notice, is that you could see the ambient temperature sensor down there isn't reading anything. It just has like those dashes. So I did go looking in the front bumper, and I found a harness that has the sensor completely missing, the connectors completely missing, so it just looked like wires that were tore off. And go figure, it's right in the spot where the bumper looks like it's been reattached. So whatever little fender bender was caused up front, I'm assuming ripped off the temperature sensor. Not a big deal. I already went ahead and ordered a new temperature sensor and connector. We'll get that problem fixed, no problem at all. As it is, I could give it to my daughter. It drives perfectly fine, no problems at all. But I'm not going to do that. We are going to do some maintenance on this thing, changing all the fluids on it. I ordered, let me see if I can remember off the top of my head. It's getting new pads and rotors up front, new drums, new brake shoes, new drum hardware kit, new thermostat and housing, new belt, because the drive belt on it looks like it has cracks on it, new spark plugs, PCV, air filter, cabin air filter, basic things for a tune-up. Guys, like I said, the car drives perfectly fine. All of this stuff is just me trying to make the car more reliable for my daughter. And I think it was a pretty good buy. I really like the car. I like this car better than my Nissan. It makes my Nissan look like a piece of crap. It's crazy to see that this is what Honda was doing in 2015 with their Honda Fits, and my 2015 Versa is like bottom of the barrel. You can see a big difference between Nissan and Honda for the same like lower economy vehicles and the same year. It's a night and day difference. This interior is way nicer. And guys, it just so happens that it's blue. Trust me, I did not go looking for a blue car that matches my car. It just happens to be a coincidence. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started on these repairs. By the way, my daughter does not know about the car yet. She has not seen it or anything, so it's a complete surprise to her. But I want to get all the repairs and maintenance before I give it to her. All right, so I got in all the parts that I ordered for the Honda Fit, so let's take it into the garage and get started. Okay, so I'm not gonna do everything that needs to get done on it today, only because it's just I have too much stuff going on. But what I want to do is we'll do an oil change. So I got the oil filter. We're gonna go ahead and drain out the transmission fluid and put some fresh CVT. Now I am going to do a second round of this. This is just going to be the initial drain and fill. We're going to go ahead and do the spark plugs as well. and I have a replacement pigtail for the ambient air temperature sensor, and that's what's inside of here. So one's a pigtail and the other one is the actual sensor right there. And this is a PCV. Since we're kind of doing the spark plugs, we're going to do the PCV valve. Now, I'm not a big fan of these standard motor products. I have got bitten in the butt with these things not working, like electrical components, but it's all I could find. Anything short of paying expensive Honda prices for some of these parts. You know, I figured the part was cheap enough from standard motor products that I'm willing to take a gamble on a ambient air temperature. And it's not a critical thing on a car, guys. You get what I'm saying? If it were a more important sensor, then yeah, I would not I wouldn't have gone with this brand. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Oh, there's one more thing. So I'm not going to be doing a complete brake fluid flush today, because that's going to get done when I'm actually doing the brakes. But I do want to at least suck out the nasty old black brake fluid that's inside of here and refill it with brand new brake fluid. It doesn't really matter if I do it right now or the day that I'm doing the brakes, guys. It doesn't matter. It's going to get new fluid in there anyway. So I figure, you know what, let's just get some of that crap out while we're here. You can see the condition of the fluid right there. Went ahead and removed like the strainer that normally sits inside of there. And I got my vacuum pump right here. So we're just gonna suck out whatever we can. Unfortunately, you can't get way back there because this thing does go, you know, towards the back. And this is why it's not a bad idea to suck this out right now, top it off with new brake fluid, and then when I'm actually going to do the complete brake fluid flush, pretty much suck it out again and refill it again. You're not causing any harm by getting this part started early. Yeah, as much as I try, I can't get this tube to go back any further. The opening just isn't big enough. All right, here goes our brand new brake fluid. Topped off, it's good enough. So let's go for the oil change. Here's kind of a first look showing you guys underneath the engine. Nice thing is I don't see any oil leaks. Everything looks nice and dry. This dark spot you're seeing is obviously from when you do an oil change, the oil that kind of leaks onto the pan right here. But yeah, for the most part, it looks pretty clean underneath here. And yeah, there's rust, but that's normal for our area. I don't see anything that stands out as a problem. Everything looks pretty normal. So I already went ahead and cracked free the oil drain bolts. We'll see if we have a brand new crush washer for this. I didn't buy one, but I'll see if I have one in stock. You know, let me turn off the light on my headlamp. It may help. Yeah, that makes a big difference for you guys. Trying to get a look at the oil, and it looks pretty normal. I'm not seeing anything. If anything, this oil is on the cleaner side as a newer rather than yeah, it still has like that gold color to it. So this oil change, guys, has not, or I should say this oil hasn't been in this engine, and I can feel the viscosity. It still feels like it has that thickness to it like oil would have. You know, when you got that old watered down oil, it's like super thin. This still feels like good oil, and it looks pretty golden brown too. I don't feel bad about this at all, guys. Whenever you buy a new car, don't hesitate to change the oil. Don't ever believe what the previous owner said. You know what I mean? So I can't find any of the crush washers that I was looking for. I did find this one. Might be too large, or it might be perfect. That is perfect, guys. So the one crush washer I happen to have in here. Oh, I got two of them, guys. Look at that. I'm just talking crap for no reason. All these other copper crush washers you see are for our Nissans. They fit my wife's Altima and they fit my Nissan Versa. So let me go ahead and peel off the old crush washer that's still on here, and we'll put the new one on. Even though, guys, it's not completely flattened out. I'm sure this crush washer would have been fine, but if I don't do this, the internet will tear me apart. I got the new crush washer installed. There goes the old one right there. It gave me hell trying to get it off, but it came off. Anyway, let's go ahead and put the drain bolt back in. The oil has been draining long enough. Go ahead and remove the old oil filter. Now, for oil filters, this is my favorite tool. I've seen this in the stores, like for example, like AutoZone, for years, and every time I look at it, I'm like, that's dumb, that's not gonna work. And one day I decided to just buy one, and guys, changed my life. It works awesome, and it works like 95% of the time. As long as it fits the filter, it typically works. This is extremely difficult with one hand. Come on, baby, bite in. It just has to bite into the filter, and it'll lock on, which it is not doing. It is making a liar out of me. How dare you? God. All right, I had to just use my hand to get the teeth of the jaws to bite into the filter, but as you can see, it's doing its job now. And once again, it's slipping. Guys, this is a really tiny filter on this car. That's why this is happening. But yeah, when you got 2 hands free, it works a charm. I'm not exaggerating. All right, we could get that tool out of here. It did its job. The filter has been cracked free. See what I mean? This is what I'm talking about. You see the oil, how I just run it right down the pan, and that's why the pan is dark like that. It's just from oil changes. Oh God. I hate when I make a mess. Not too bad. I've been having bad luck this week with doing oil changes and making messes. Alright, so let's get the new filter. I'll clean up the mating surface right there and pop the new filter on. Alright, so I sprayed the bottom of the oil pan with some brake parts cleaner and cleaned off that mess we had going on. I got a Denso oil filter. Guys, this might as well be an OEM Honda filter. It's got the same quality look and feel. It had the plastic covering the gasket, and look at that pre-oiled O-ring. I'm telling you, good stuff. There's a very clear difference between having like an OEM equivalent or OEM part versus like the cheap stuff that comes from regular auto parts stores. And I just say this because I know like Denso is like OEM supplier for Honda, so you know they have good quality parts. Now my glove is all oily, so I can't get that good of a grip on here, but rest assured I will come back and tighten this right now. I've got my funnel all set up. I got the 4 quarts of oil right here. I think this car takes something like 3.7 or something. So I'm gonna pour in the first 3, just dump them straight in, and then we'll check the oil and just try to get it as close as we can to perfect. So with 3 quarts, you can see where the oil line is at. Hopefully you guys can see it. It's pretty much almost right in the center. You see that? See where the fluid line stops? That's with 3 quarts, and of course the engine hasn't been ran, so there's no oil circulating throughout the filter. So what I'm going to do is add half a quart, and that'd be good enough for now until I get the car back on the ground and running. Then I'll double check the dipstick, and if I gotta top it off, I will. But this pretty much concludes the oil change. All right, so while we're down here, we might as well do the CVT fluid. So this is gonna be the fill plug right there, and this is the drain right here on the side. Pretty easy. So that appears to be a 17 mil. Let's go ahead and crack that free first. Okay, not too bad, cracked free. And the drain is going to be a 3/8 drive. Alright, that looks like it's fully seated. Let's see how easy this cracks free. Doesn't want to go, just as I expected. I may need a breaker bar. All right, so I got my 1/2" drive ratchet with a adapter, and it's technically a breaker bar as long as it is. So, all right. Get the right angle here so I don't smash my knuckle on the ground. Oh, there we go. There we go. We're cracked free. All right, let me go ahead and get the pan. All right, got the pan in place. And hopefully it doesn't come shooting out too far because I don't want it to hit the ramp right here. Okay, not too bad. Well, that's because if I were to take the fill plug off right now, it would just come shooting out. So let's do it the slow way like this to avoid a mess. The fluid, yeah, it looks pretty dark. It's what I was expecting. And it definitely smells like CVT fluid. Has that very distinct smell. All right, I'm gonna try to just ease off the fill plug up here. Hopefully get some air in to get a steady stream now. There we go. And I got the fill plug completely removed. Now, I'm fairly certain I don't have a crush washer for this. You know what? Maybe I do. I have a kit, like a oil pan repair kit. And it comes like with all these new drain bolts, but it also comes with like variety pack of crush washers. So let's find that somewhere. It's in one of these boxes. You know what I find interesting is that when you work in your garage like all the time, or just at your shop, right, and you know where your tools are or what your tools look like. So you can see I have some of them labeled, right, but that specific tool is not labeled. But if I know my tools, I'm gonna take a wild guess and say it's this blue box right here. Okay, and just to show I'm not fooling you guys, we do this in real time, no cuts, and if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. And you're gonna have to trust me that I did not look this up before I started recording. It has about the right weight, and look what it says right there: oil pan tap. This is the right one. Guys, I'm telling you, if you work in your workspace long enough, you just know how to identify your tools, even by the freaking box that they're in. Even if all your boxes look the same, you just know. So this is what I was talking about. You can see we have a variety of taps and new drain bolts for as replacements, but over here we have crush washers. Now these still may not be the right size, because look how thin these are. So even though they may be the right diameter, I don't know, like I don't think I would feel comfortable using something like this. I'm sure it would work, but you see what I mean? See the difference? What do you guys think? Like this one would probably fit. Let's see. Sure would. But tell me guys, is the, I don't even know what to call it. Is it the, it's not the thickness, because the thickness would be like this. And it's not the diameter, because the I guess the outer diameter, I guess that would be correct. So the inner diameter is correct, but the outer diameter is not. What do you guys think? I don't got a good feeling about this. I don't think I would take that risk. So no, I do not have a replacement crush washer for this. I'm just gonna go ahead and clean off the crud that's on this. You can see the lip of crud. I'm gonna try to clean up this cross washer. Obviously, look at it. It's not completely smashed and thinned out, guys. It's reusable, so we're gonna have to make do. So I cleaned up both of the cross washers. Turned out pretty good. And you can see they're pretty much the same type of cross washer. So if I didn't have one, then I don't have a replacement for the other, guys. But I use a like Scotch-Brite attachment on my grinder right there, and it cleaned them up nicely, removing the crud without removing any of the material for the cross washer itself. Cleaned everything up. Now, before I clean this off, I want to show you guys this. So you know, these have a magnet on them, and they are meant to collect any like shavings, metal debris inside the transmission that might be floating around inside the fluid. And guys, this looks absolutely normal. That is not an excessive amount. Looks pretty good, and most importantly, we're not seeing any big chunks. You get what I'm saying? It's all like a very fine powder. Look at that. That's a very good sign. It's what you want to see come out of your transmission. If you see big chunks of metal attached to this thing, you have problems. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit this with some brake parts cleaner. But overall, so far, I'm really happy with what I'm seeing. All right, so I put the drain plug back on the transmission, and this is what I like to use whenever I'm going to fill up a transmission coming from up top. It's basically just a funnel with a hose and then a reducer, because usually the opening for a transmission hose is a little bit smaller than this diameter, so that's what that's for. Anyway, I like to keep this in like a sealed box over there, but even when I take it out, I still like to clean it. So I just sprayed, gave this thing a heavy dosing brake parts cleaner, really good, and then hit it with some, I'm gonna say compressed air, but it's not compressed air, guys. You know, it's my little electric blower right there. All right, so I just obviously sprayed it with brake parts cleaner, and then I just came in here. Just make sure there's no dust or debris inside of here while we're pouring the brand new fluid into the transmission. So I'm just going to take this end of the hose and feed it down from up here. All right, I'm just gonna let this sit like that. We'll go underneath the car. Here goes our line right here. Let it loop around, make sure there's no kinks, and right there. So let me just double check the rest of the hose. You can see it loops around over here and goes straight up to the funnel with no kinks at all. That's what we want to see. Looks good. Now this is a slow process, as you can see. Let me go underneath the car real fast and make sure we're not losing any of the fluid. And it's going right in. Looks good to me. So from what I could find online, this should take about 3.5 quarts, and like I said, slow process. So let me go ahead and get all the fluid in it. All right, so I'm done pouring in the 3.5 quarts, and I'm just gonna let that settle. I'm not gonna mess with it for now. Make sure all the fluid goes into the transmission. For the time being, let's go ahead and change out the spark plug. What's nice about this generation of the Honda Fit is you actually have access to these spark plugs, whereas on the older generation, the cowl came up much further and you had to disassemble the wipers and all of this just to get back here. So this is a much better design. Let's go ahead and get the coils out. All right, so I got all 4 spark plugs out of the engine. They don't look horrible. You can see they are NGKs. See that classic brown ring right at the base. The business side, everything looks pretty normal. The gaps may be a little bit bigger than they should be, but like this gap right here looks slightly tighter than this one. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but overall not bad. And the good thing is I pulled out all 4 of the ignition coils, and none of them had oil on the boot. Everything nice and dry, indicating that the valve cover gaskets and the spark plug tube seals, or I should say that indicating that the spark plug tube seals are not leaking. Basically, I don't need to put a valve cover gasket on this thing. Looking at the ignition coils, they all say Hitachi on them, as you can see right there. So I'm assuming these are OEM, and Honda is using Hitachi ignition coils, because they definitely don't look aftermarket and they don't look new. They look just about the same age of everything else. So yeah, I could believe that. All right, everything looks really good, guys. Super happy with all this and how it's turning out. So let me go ahead, pop in the spark plugs, torque them down. You guys seen people put in spark plugs a million times, so let me go ahead and knock this out. Okay, so the spark plugs are all done. I took out the funnel going into the transmission and I put the fill plug back into it, so that's all set. Guys, I'm just about done for tonight. It's like 9 p.m. and I'm about ready to throw in the towel. The next time we come back, we're gonna keep doing some more easy things: cabin air filter, engine air filter. And something I forgot about, but I want to do anyway, is I forgot to order a new gasket for the throttle body, because I want to take the throttle body off and clean it. So that's a mess up on my part. I forgot to get that gasket. Anyways, we'll deal with that later. Also, when we come back next time, I want to try to get that ambient air temperature sensor working on the dash. So sure, I could come through here. Did I show you guys this already? I can't remember. But basically, my finger is pinched. Ow. Don't do that. All right, there it goes. See the broken wires? So I believe that white and red wire is for the ambient air temperature sensor. All right, I could be wrong, but I got a pretty good feeling I'm barking up the right tree, because it just happens to be a broken sensor, right? You could, at first I thought maybe that's for the fog light and it got ripped off when whatever damage, sorry guys, let me zoom out. And I thought maybe when whatever caused the bumper to get ripped off, it obviously would tear off the bumper, so it would tear that harness going to the fog light, right? But this car doesn't have fog lights, and I checked the other side and there is no connector sitting around waiting for a fog light to be connected to it. So the only thing I can think of is it has to be for that ambient air temperature sensor. One more thing before we go tonight. I know we only did a little bit of work, really nothing major, just fluids and spark plugs. But let's see if it's gonna start up or blow up. Runs like a champ, nice and quiet. Okay, so it's the next day. Let's get back to the Honda. I just finished diagnosing that Pontiac Grand Prix right there, so go check out that video. I'll put a card in the top right hand corner after you're done watching this one, of course. So today I want to start with the ambient air temperature sensor, and I think the easiest way to do this is to just pull the front bumper off. Now I can remove the wheel, pull back the fender liner, and make my repair from inside of here, not a big deal. But I just want to do it right. I'd rather fix it right and then try to put the sensor back in its original location if we could find that spot, because I did some searching online of where this sensor is located on this car and I found nothing. Okay, so I have no idea where the sensor is supposed to be, but with the bumper off of the car, we could have a better idea. I just thought about something. What if I go through the trouble to remove the bumper and then we find out that that broken harness is not for the temperature sensor, and now I just gotta put the bumper back on it because of the big waste of time, when I have access to it over here on the side? I think we should at least test it, you know, just temporarily put the wires together, plug the sensor in, and make sure it's working on the dash. And if the ambient air temperature sensor is now functioning, then I could go through the trouble of removing the bumper to do it right. I think that makes a lot more sense. All right, so pretty easy to pull the harness out here. I just stripped the wires back and got them connected to the new pigtail, and the new sensor is plugged in. Now I don't know you know, if one of these is power, one's a ground, one's a sensor wire. I have no idea, guys. So just kind of going out on a limb here, and hopefully this isn't polarity specific and I don't fry my new sensor. Anyway, only one way to find out. Let's make sure these don't touch, try to keep them apart. And let's put the key in the ignition, see what happens. Boom, look at it. It works. 65 degrees outside. Feels about right to me. Yes. So I was right. That is a harness for that sensor. And I don't know if the polarity matters or you could switch the wires around, but I know that it works here. So we're going to try to leave the wires exactly where they are. And now I'd feel a lot more comfortable taking the front bumper off and putting the sensor in its rightful place. So yeah, it's pretty obvious that this bumper was torn off at some point. I mean, look at this right here. You know what I mean? That's definitely not OEM, not factory, especially about something like this. Anyway, doesn't matter. All right, guys, it's off, and I'm actually glad to see the damage isn't as bad as I was expecting. I was expecting to see the whole actual bumper. Guys, this is the actual bumper right here. The plastic is just a bumper cover. Anyways, I was expecting to see all this like smashed in, but here goes signs of the accident. You could see this is like semi-crushed right here, not so bad. This right here, believe it or not, is a real minor fender bender. This is like, this car must have been, you know, like freaking 3 miles per hour, 5 miles per hour when it bumped into something, or the car was parked and someone bumped into it, because we all know cars nowadays are made out of aluminum foil, right? They just crumble like wet toilet paper. So to see like this type of damage where it got pushed in that little bit, this is what it should look like. See that? So to get pushed in like this, that's not a hard hit at all. That's a very soft hit. So I'm actually really glad to see. And honestly, guys, if I could get this bumper, which I'm not going to, guys, because it doesn't matter, but if I could get this bumper like in a salvage yard, and I'm sure you could find these all over the place, you could easily replace this actual bumper and the car would be 100%, because look, there is no damage to anything around here. This took the actual damage, and I'm really glad to see it was a minor little bump that happened here. Anyway, so here goes our harness, right? The one we just tested with the new sensor. Where does it go? I'm assuming somewhere on this side, because the harness comes out from over here. If you can't find where it actually goes, it's not that big of a deal if we just put it anywhere that's safe. You know what I mean? I really wish I had a image of where this sensor actually lives, so I could just put it back in its factory place and not guess. But all right, so here's the game plan. Well, first of all, the ground was looking a little crusty right there, so I took it off, cleaned it, put it back together, and then put some CRC to protect it. So the harness is gonna go right there. I cut off the old broken retainer clip, and I put my own. I have these. They have like the Christmas tree end on them, and then you can zip tie a wire harness in place. Okay, so that one went right there, and I'm gonna put another one right here in this threaded hole to actually hold the sensor. As you can see, I got everything trimmed. I'm gonna go ahead solder the wires together, then I'll spray them with CRC, then we'll put heat shrink over them. All right, that's good. That's not going anywhere. I'll go ahead and spray CRC. Just to protect from corrosion inside here. Now we can slide the heat shrink over it. Just like that. I'll use the same tool. It exhausts the heat right outside. I got before, so I can use that to shrink the heat shrink. I got the wires inside the loom right here, and we'll put just a little bit of electrical tape around this. Prevents the wires from moving inside the loom. And just to give it that factory look, we'll go ahead and use some Tesa tape. It's like a fabric based tape, which a lot of like OEM manufacturers tend to use this type of stuff. You know, if you look at the sensor, it's got a slot right here where it would like normally slide into like a tab, and that's what kind of retains it. But obviously we don't have that, so I'm just going to use another one of these things that I showed you guys earlier to retain it. And I'm not a big fan of this, of putting it right around where the electrical connector goes, like, you know, where you would have to push the button. But the fact of the matter is, this is one of those sensors that almost never ever gets touched in the lifetime of the vehicle unless it goes bad, and they don't often go bad. So I don't feel too bad about putting our mounting points right on it. All right, so this is my second zip tie. The first one I tried to just push straight in, but it wasn't going in. It ended up breaking, and that's because it's a threaded hole. So the obvious thing was to just thread it in like if you were twisting in a bolt, and it went in perfectly fine. I'm gonna go ahead, loop this around, and get the zip tie action started. We'll set the sensor something like this, I'm thinking. Get it nice and tight, make sure it's not going to fall off. Cut off the excess of the zip tie. And there we go, guys. Come on, tell me that's not clean. That's not a clean install and repair. It's pretty dang good if you ask me. So the reason why I wanted it over here was to get it away from anything hot over here. You know what I'm saying? Even when it rains or snows, if snow gets packed in here for whatever reason, I don't want it to get on the sensor because it can throw off the sensor readings. So the sensor has to be protected, but yet still have access to fresh, cold air. And right here, it's not going to be an issue. It should be perfectly fine. And we don't have too much slack in the harness. So you see the bumper comes all the way down to here. It's perfectly fine. With the sensor 100% wrapped up, let's just do one final test and make sure it still works. Sure does. Looks good to me. All right, so I just noticed this. This is the clip I was talking about that holds the bumper on, and you can clearly see this is like silicone right here. So this is the reason why the bumper doesn't sit right. I'm going to see if I could go on a Honda website and order this clip, get a brand new one, and it would go a long way to make the front end look a lot nicer. It just looks really bad when you see not only gaps in panels but like unevenness. Like this was right here, but the bumper stuck out much further, and it looks ugly, you know. So we'll see what we could do. We'll see if we can find that part. All right, so that clip that goes on the fender, I could always change that at some other date. It's not that big of a deal, but I don't see no other reason on why I can't put this bumper back on it. Like leaving it off isn't going to benefit me in any way. So I might as well just put the bumper back on it right now. So let me go ahead and knock that out. And the next thing I want to do is change the serpentine belt on it. Here to show you guys from right here.